sweet chili jam in the Ninja soup maker. For this recipe, you're going to need 600ml of apple cider vinegar, kilo sugar, 160 grams of red hot chilies, or as hot as you like them, 180 grams of capsicum, basically bell peppers, different names in different countries, but I've not got any, so I'm going to be using sweet pepper. I've already started cutting some up, but what I'm actually doing is, as you can see, I want to keep the seeds because these have been grown in my garden, well, in my actual greenhouse. Now I've got 160ml of mixed hot and mild peppers, chilies, sorry, in here. Some people will remove the pips and the white or pink membrane just so that it's not so hot then. Myself personally, I'm not going to, but all I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice them in half. Now it says here as well, you need a teaspoon of salt, there you go. I'm just going to put that in with the cider vinegar. What I'm going to do with this now is with the Ninja, I'm going to put the jam sugar in, a full kilo. Put the apple cider vinegar in. Let's put the lid on because it won't work without it. I've got my sweet pepper, I've got my chilli. You might be able to see it here. This is, let's spin around a little bit. We've got a pan here on the boil, and I've been out, well I didn't go out, I bought some little jars for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these jars in the boiling water. While this is cooking, these are going to get cleaned. I'm going to leave them to boil whilst I'm making this jam. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let that warm up and I'll come back to you in a bit. Now this is warmed up a little bit now, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the peppers in, the chilli, sorry, and I'm just going to put the peppers in. Depending on where you got your Ninja from, ours actually says jam setting on ours. There's none of this button here. So I'm just going to put on jam, and it's roughly going to cook for about half an hour. Initially what it does, it starts to warm the jar first of all. Now this can be done on a normal pan. So what it does is it gives it a couple of blasts just to actually mix it all together. And obviously you don't want to watch a video for half an hour while this does. So I'll try and catch certain stages as it goes along. You can probably see the sugar is set a little bit at the bottom. But the more and more it actually starts to pulp, it'll chop these down. And if you don't like the thickness at the end, you can always put it onto the chop function to chop it up a little bit finer. As you can see now, it's actually now starting to change colour. It's not too hot at the moment. Every now and then it just keeps on pulsing. I've turned my pot down over here to a very low light, and I'm just going to leave them there until this is done. I've also put in there just my funnel for jams, etc. So we'll see how this gets on. Now I don't know whether you can see or not, you might not actually see this when you actually do it in a pan, but because the jam hasn't actually started to go like a jam effect, let's say, the seeds are still floating at the top, even though it's mixing it, but the actual jar itself now is starting to feel warm, but not too hot. Normally with a pan, it'll just be like bubbling and you have to use a jam thermometer. With this, it knows what temperature it is, and I think it just brings it up gradually while it's still minting. But these lot will eventually blend in. And there's only roughly 3 minutes 20 seconds left. This jar now is very, very hot. So imagine this is the last bit where it'll actually start to pulse it all together. But what I'm going to do is, once it's done, I'm going to let it cool down a little bit and then possibly just give it a little bit of a mix. But I'm going to use the blend button, which is this one down here, just to give that a little bit of a blend once it's cooled down. So hopefully the seeds then will stay down at the bottom or in the middle with the rest of the jams. Now the heat button is activated again now. It does turn on and off, obviously to regulate what temperature it is, and this now is getting very, very hot. So there's 2 minutes so left. Let's see what it does in the final 2 minutes. This is the beep warning to say it's going to pulse. That's how it's done now. All I've done here as well, you probably see me doing it. I put the tongs into the water and I'm going to bring it back up to a boil. But I've got a little spatula scraper, I'll put that in there and bring that up to boil as well. The reason why I'm doing this is because I need to possibly put these tongs inside the actual jars, and we don't want contamination because these are going to be sterilised. But this jam will roughly last around 6 to 8 months in a cupboard if the jars are sterilised. You can put them into a wash jar and they will possibly last about a week and a half, 2 weeks in the fridge because they're not being sterilised. Well, it's done now, it activates itself as keep warm, but I don't want it to keep warm. I now actually want it to actually cool down. But I'm just going to give a quick blend. That is now, give it all a good blend up. You know, see the bits now actually starting to float. That was rather warm. So hopefully now, I'm just going to turn it off, let it all cool down, and like I said before, I'll possibly give it another quick blend just as it's starting to set like jelly. But we need to check that before we put it into the jars. Took the lid off. It smells quite nice. You can at the moment though, you can smell the vinegar in it. The reason why I took the lid off is now when it's starting to cool down, turn it off, leave that for about half an hour. Hopefully then it'll start to thicken up. I'll put a spoon in here as well just for testing, because like I say, everything going forward now has to be sterilised. As you can see now, this is actually starting to look like a jam. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a mix. very, very runny at the moment. As that cools down, it should thicken up. Now I've got a bit of a problem. There's my jar, there's my funnel, and it doesn't fit in it. It's just about the same size. This is going to be a bit awkward to pour. All the jars now have been taken out, and I placed them upside down just to let all the water out. So ideally you want to be on this ledge here. Just get a bit of clean kitchen paper, wipe the actual threads and all clean. If you're spilt in it like me. Put the caps on. Make sure you tighten the lids properly. This is actual jam now. It's actually gone like jam. That is very nice, but that's got a kick to it. Then what I'll do is I'll do some more jars. There you have it, guys. 12 jars of chili jam.